It's time for Breaking Chains with Healthy Monday, where we will discuss spiritual, mental, and physical health issues. It's Breaking Chains with Healthy Monday on YAT Radio.
Good evening, good evening. It is so much fun. There's excitement going on tonight. Tonight we have Queen Sheena and Bo Williams on the line, and we are going to talk about a topic that is so seriously needed in our community, and that is mental health in the Black community. All right, Queen and King, you can take over at this time.
How my beautiful people doing out there this evening? This is Bo and my wife Sheena. Tonight we have a wonderful show for you. We're going to be talking about mental health in the Black community, and specifically the stigma that's associated with it. And one of the number one things that we can do when it comes to mental health is talking about it and getting people aware of mental health conditions and how to maybe identify some and help somebody get some help, or even be the help yourself. So tonight it's going to be real informative. So get your cups of tea and your a little snack, healthy snack, of course, and open your ears and enjoy.
Good evening, everyone. This is Queen Sheena. I am looking forward to giving you some information that is much, much needed in our community about mental health. And as my husband said, maybe you are going through it personally, or maybe you are on the other end where you need to be recognizing the signs and you know someone who is going through it, and you maybe need the next steps to take to be able to help them, or have some questions yourself about it. So we're just looking forward to, like I said, informing and getting some information. Hopefully we get some callers in tonight so we can get some feedback from you all. We're looking forward to that.
So I believe 1 in 5 Americans are affected by a mental health issue each year. 1 in 5. So most likely, if you're not going through a mental health issue, or you have a mental health concern for yourself, I guarantee you know somebody who is going through some mental health issues. And tonight we're going to talk about how to open up the conversation, at least to start talking about it before we can even talk about going to get some therapy or get some treatment. And then we have to talk about where we get our treatment and how to get our treatment, because our communities, our African communities, are different from any other communities. We have a genuine distrust for our medical community due to the historical atrocities they have committed against us. And I'm just going to say Tuskegee. So we have a genuine mistrust of our medical professionals. I believe there's 2% of all, less than 2% of all psychiatrists and psychologists are African American, specifically Africans from America. I really don't like the term African American, but Africans in America. We're underrepresented in that space. And when most of us as Black people, especially Black men, when we do build up the courage to ask for some help, and we do build up the courage to go out there and receive that help, we hardly ever get somebody that's culturally competent enough to identify our problems and help us with it. A lot of times we go to the psychiatrist, and we could spend 10 minutes with them and we already got 2 or 3 prescriptions. They haven't got down to the root of the problem. They haven't got down to what's really causing our issues. They're just dealing with the symptoms. And that's something across the board in the medical industry that we have to put a stop to, is doctors just dealing with the symptoms and not dealing with the root cause of the problem. So again, tonight we hope to open up your eyes a little bit on some of the ways we can help our community out. So you want to say anything before we jump into it?
Yes, before we get into the 3 major mental health disorders for our community, I would just like to say something particularly to the Black women out there. I've been reading a few articles actually over the past, today I was reading a lot of them for the past couple hours, and one thing that is common with all of them is that we have the stigma of the strong Black woman persona, where we have to take on every and each task that comes our way, and then when we don't succeed at all of them, we can have 99 and succeed in 98, but we're thinking about that 99th one that we didn't do, and it throws us into a whirlwind of basically depression. We're not really, in this society, allowed to show any type of weakness. And being, like I said, that strong Black woman persona, that kind of eliminates room for vulnerability, which makes us not want to go to anybody and talk about it because, of course, the main thing is we come from slaves that endured so much, and what we're dealing with right now is nothing, and you should just be able to deal with that. You have a roof over your head, you have food, and you should just be able to deal with that. It's not that bad. And that, in turn, turns a person into more of an introvert, and it's just on top of the depression, now you're having social anxiety, and you're thinking, everybody is looking at you going through these things, and with no help. Being the person with it is one thing, and also we need to be responsible as people on the other end, listening to people cry out for help, and not just brushing it off as it's nothing. You're just going through this today. It'll be okay tomorrow. Or pray about it, which is our most famous one. It's praying about it, and like I said, you'll just get over it. But as we know, that it doesn't work. So we have to be responsible and accountable as a community, as Black women. We should know that we have to know that it's okay not to be okay, if that makes sense. But it is okay not to be okay because we just can't, as human beings, we can't deal with everything that life throws at us. It's just impossible without, like I said, the village. We do need people to listen. We do need people who have been through the same things, and maybe us voicing that will bring other people out of their shell and say, well, I thought I was the only one going through this, so maybe there's more people out there. And that in turn makes small little pockets of I like to call it the trust tree, but that's what we need as Black women in the community. We have to stop bringing each other down because have more in common than we don't in common, and that's a fact. We're dealing with the same. We're right at the intersection of racism and sexism. Like we're right there, smack dab in the middle, dealing with everything from all sides. So I think like I said, we have to take it easy on each other. That's one thing I would like to say. We need to uplift each other, listen to each other. Like I said, we're all going through the same things. Believe me, we are all going through the same things. We feel sadness, madness, anger, worthlessness. We all feel this at one point or another, and we do need to be talking about it. So I just wanted to put that out there and maybe put a bug in people's ears to be that shoulder to lean on, or, go to the person that you trust and give it a try. Give it a try to tell people one issue that you're having that you feel like is just too much for you, and just put it out there and just see what happens.
Right. And to kind of reiterate on that a little bit, me and my wife, we let people know, our people know their greatness. So we tell them that they're great, and we can show them where they are great, where their people are great, the greatness that they've descended from. And this, in turn, makes them proud, makes them feel good. But I never think that they're perfect. I never want them to think that they can't have a moment of vulnerability. Or I never want them to think that that if they are suffering through something, they're letting their people down. I never want that to happen as far as me and Sheena go, because we're empowering people. And sometimes we might miss the symptoms that somebody's going through something right now, and we just give them you know what, you'll be all right, young king. I see you got the strength, so on and so forth. That can be actually more detrimental than not saying nothing at all about it. It's just telling somebody, you got the strength, young brother. You got it. I don't want to hear that. You know, and too many times in our community, our male figures, that's how they come off. Our leaders, that's how they come off. You know, in the churches, we're going to have a specific segment about the churches and black mental health and what the churches can do, and some of the stuff that the churches do to probably hinder process of healing from a mental condition. Okay, I just want to get into it now. I want to read the definition of the definition of mental health, and I'm going to read the definition of a mental health disorder. Okay, so mental health is a person's condition in regard to their psychological or emotional well-being. That's the definition of mental health. So we want prime mental health. If we're being attacked psychologically, that's, you know, we can attribute that to a mental health disorder or a mental health illness. You know, we always want to be. We talk about holistic health, but we want to be healthy in all aspects, especially mental health, because our mental is probably our the most important health that we can have besides our physical health and being able to move around. Because even if you are let's say even if you are paralyzed from the neck down like Stephen Hawking, he still uses his mental. You know, he still makes a big impact on this world just with his mental health and the things he's able to do with his mind. Okay, so a mental health disorder refers to a wide range of medical conditions, disorders that affect your mood, thinking, or behavior. And some examples include depression, anxiety disorder, schizophrenia, eating disorder, and addictive behavior. And so I want to reiterate on that, some addictive behaviors. And I want to say that our community, when we do have a mental disorder compared to other communities, it's more severe. So when we do go to the doctor and we are suffering from depression, it's more severe because we may have held out a little too long, or we depended on ourselves to heal ourselves for too long. And by the time we get to that point of somebody diagnosing us with a mental disorder or depression, it's already heavy chronic depression. You know, it's deep depression. And in our communities, people, we just don't talk about mental health because we associate it with weakness, or we're ashamed, or we don't want people to think we're crazy. You know, most of us right now today, as adults, as conscious adults, who, you know, if we tell our friends, I've been going to the psychiatrist 2-3 times a week, you know, one of the first things they might say is, "Oh, you ain't crazy. I don't know why you going to that psychiatrist, wasting your money," so on and so forth. You know, that's detrimental to our community. That makes us not want to talk about it. So, like I said, we definitely want to shake this stigma that we have on getting help for your mental health issues. So.
And to speak on the, you know, the embarrassment part of speaking out, I like to speak from a personal perspective. My mother, she recently has gone through an issue where she has been diagnosed with mental illness. But I didn't know for a long time because my grandmother, who she lives with, they live in Birmingham, didn't tell anyone about it. My grandmother, who I grew up, you know, she's a retired OBGYN, and she's always been a socialite my whole life and all these things, which goes into she's embarrassed to tell anyone that her daughter is sick because of the image it may put on her, or that she's been carrying her family up so high on the pedestal all these years, and now real life is hitting you and you're embarrassed to talk about it. So with that being said, I couldn't help her for, like I said, it may have been 6 months before I even knew my mom was sick or anything like that. So talking about it, not being embarrassed, that is something that is still alive and well, but it's something that has to die like it does, because you can't get any help keeping it in. There's just no way to outsource or get any resources that way. So it's very important just to go ahead, I say, and go for the gusto and just let people know what's going on so somebody can reach out to you.
And we have legitimate reasons behind some of this stigma. You know, even doctors can make us feel shame of going in, because they don't understand what we're going through. Or sometimes we just need someone to talk to and someone to understand, but we can't understand. We don't have time. Sometimes we just don't even have time to consider getting help for a mental condition because we got to work. We got to take care of our kids. We got to do this. We got to do that. If I acknowledge I have a mental condition, then that might hinder me in sorts, or that might make me weak, or they might see me as this. So, it's legitimate reason behind why we don't talk about it or why we don't actively go out there and try to seek help when we need it. Or, a lot of times in our community we'll contribute depression to, the blues. Oh, I'm just feeling blue right now. I'm just feeling down a little bit. But it's really depression. And with depression, if you don't get to the root of the cause of the depression, then, it's going to be hard for you to overcome that. So that's one of the main things in our community that affects us is depression. And like I said earlier, in our community, when we finally get some help, it's severe. And in our community, we have factors that increase our risk of having a mental disorder or a mental illness. Homelessness is one. In our community, in the black community, homelessness is prevalent. Now, when I say homeless, I don't just speak on the people who sleep in the streets at night or the people who sleep in shelters at night. When I'm talking about homeless, I'm talking about the people who's sleeping on somebody else's couch, who's been living with somebody, somewhere where you're somewhere, especially with your kids. I think the stat is, last I checked on the stats for Mobile, 5,000 homeless kids in a Mobile that are documented that are in Mobile public school system. 5,000. That's ridiculous. So, homelessness is one of the big factors of increasing us to have a mental disorder or a mental illness or a mental breakdown. African Americans across America make up 40% of the homeless population. So we just think about that. 40% of the homeless population, African American. And our exposure to violence increases the risk of developing a mental health condition such as depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, schizophrenia. And African American children are more likely to be exposed to violence than any other children. I want to take a minute and talk about that. In our community, like I just said, we are more likely to be exposed to violence, even in our own homes, in the street, at school. We're just more likely to be exposed to that because of the conditions that we live in, because of poverty. That's just the bottom line. Because of poverty, we have different conditions. So that right there, just being exposed to the violence, you might just see violence. It might be your mother and your father having spats every other week, fighting. It might be when you go outside, the neighbors are always fighting. That does something to kids, especially. That does something to the psyche. That does something to the mind. To always see the negativity, always see the. So with that being said, our risks are increased when we're talking about mental health. So some of the things to consider when we're talking about mental health is why, when we're talking about why we don't go seek treatment or why we don't stay in treatment, or as our misunderstanding of what a mental health is or what a mental health condition is or how it affects us. So if we don't understand the problem, then we're more likely going to say, you know what, forget about it and put it on the back burner. So one of the things we can do is just make ourselves knowledgeable about this. And, again, open the door to talk about it. So that's step one that you can do is just making yourself knowledgeable. And if you can, and you know that you need some help, go seek some help. Go seek some professional help. And some of the I know some of us don't even have insurance to go get your teeth checked on, let alone insurance to go see a doctor about your mental health. And that's another thing in our community that hinders us from talking about or going to seek some assistance is that, we don't have insurance. We don't have extra money to go be seeing the doctor. And like I said earlier, we don't even have the time. If a doctor said, I want to see you 2-3 times a week, a lot of times as a parent, a full-time working parent, you might not even have that extra time to go see a doctor. So it's so many things that stop us from, so many excuses that we can make to stop us from seeking help. But it's time to get over that. Any questions? Any? You guys want to add anything? Okay.
Well, I do have. I know you're going to get into it a little bit. I was trying to just kind of write my questions down and wait until you all get to it because I know I tend to jump ahead a little bit. But one of the main questions I have, and if you're going to get to it, that's fine. Just please forgive me. But when you're talking about mental health, a couple of questions that I have because I deal with this on a regular where people come to me and, they now acknowledge that they have the mental health problem, but the what I see that varies from person to person, especially teenagers and early adults, they don't want to take the medicines. And so how do you handle a situation? I feel like doctors are quick to prescribe, and I'm proud that students are not wanting to go straight to the meds. But why is it that doctors still, if you don't want to go on medication, they can't give you any other avenues to try to combat the mental health? Because I feel just like behavioral disorder or hypertension. I'm going to use hypertension as a good example. If you're borderline hypertensive, you can, change your diet. You can do things that's a little bit healthier for you. Well, with mental health, isn't that the same? If, you're giving the proper tools besides a prescription, isn't there something that can be done to kind of help offset these prescriptions that the doctors are, allowing people to put on our insurance or, causing us to have to pay for those of us who don't have insurance? Kind of help me, enlighten me a little bit on, are we seeing the wrong doctors? Are we not asking the right questions? What is it that our people are doing? Because I do know that there are some who will admit, yes, I am a mental health person. I have mental health disorders, or I have a mental health issue, but I don't want to take the medicine. And I think I probably asked like 5 questions in that one setting, and I'm sorry, but this is really good that we're able to talk about this because I do have, questions and hoping that I could get some answers to help our people.
Yes, and I wrote down the answer for every one of your questions, and they were excellent. But let me ask you this first before I start. What is like the main reason that you're getting from these individuals on why they don't want to take the medicine? Is it, making them feel bad, or is it just they never took it from the start, or what's the common theme there?
Well, they've never taken it from the start, and they have been put on blood pressure medicine, and they're trying to wean themselves off of that. So, like by eating properly and exercising more. So I think it's just a matter of I don't want to be on all of these meds because the doctor says I need them, And when it comes to anxiety, because a lot of the people that I deal with have, panic attacks, and if I'm not there or if there's not someone there to kind of help them, go through the proper steps, or, I just kind of talk about it as often as I can to kind of give them some, make them become more self-sufficient, and know what it is that they need to do when they get to that level of anxiety. But that's the reason why they don't want to take the meds, because it's like, I'm already taking high blood pressure medicine, and I just don't want to be confined to medication.
Yeah, like taking a cocktail, basically, with all these different medications.
Right. Right.
Okay, well, first things, of course, with the doctors, we discussed it last week, I believe, where, you know, these doctors are not really knowledgeable themselves. They just kind of study one thing, and the medicine, that's all they know. Like, they really don't even know the side effects and all this stuff. So, and, of course, they're getting kickbacks from that. They're getting kickbacks from these depression meds because it is high. Depression is high.
Yeah.
On the mental health list. So, like I said, it is prominent. There is money in it for them, and of course, you know, that's they do there. And like we said, there's only like 2%, less than 2% of African American psychiatrists out there. So they're, like I said, these people aren't really culturally competent on what's going on or what we've experienced versus what somebody else from, you know, middle class and above has seen in their lifetime. So not only are we suffering from depression, it's the PTSD, it's the anxiety, like you said. It's a numerous amount of things. And like you said, with a doctor, they'll try to give you 4 different medications because you have 4 different, you know what I mean? So that kind of...
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, yeah, I'm right there with you. I agree. But I just wonder, you know, what. Yeah, I was just saying, I wonder what can we do? I mean, how can we offset it? I mean, I don't want to tell anyone, well, you know, you need to take the medicine. Now, I will say this: when I come in contact with someone who deals with bipolar or paranoid schizophrenic or something like that, I will say, you know, have you had your meds? Because those people are people that have already been diagnosed, and they know that the medication does work, but it makes them feel sleepy or it doesn't let them feel as normal as they want to feel. But in order to get them back in some sort of normalcy, medicine is what they need. But I'm not talking about that type of mental health disorder. I'm talking about someone who is, you know, clearly just exhibiting some sort of mental health issues, and the doctors want to give them meds.
Again, we talk about health from a holistic perspective. So once you start improving your eating habits, once you start improving getting rid of the bad habits that we have, we start getting rid of the negative energies in our life, it all works out. It all kind of works itself out. And we start to see ourselves become to a happy place. And we start seeing ourselves as you know, uplifted. So just shaking the baggage in our life. You know, it may be, you know, knowing the triggers. What triggers your anxiety? What triggers your depression? What's the root of the depression? Are you still dealing with a loved one? Are you death of a loved one? Are you depressed because of memories of just bad thoughts, you know? So really getting down to the root of the problem, and really help. And the only way to do that is through open discussion, talking about it. You know, talking with your family members. You know, the people that you trust and love. Open the discussion on what makes you feel this way. And once you start talking about it, it magically becomes nothing no more. You know, a lot of people keep stuff bottled up for years and never talk about it. Never discuss it. Never have a sympathetic ear, because you never know, that person might have been through the exact same thing that you're going through. So definitely open discussion with what you do, talking with them, getting them talking about it, definitely help improve on their mental health always. But again, back to the doctors. A lot of the doctors, most of the doctors, they're book smart. They're book smart. They go by the book. Everything by the book. So whatever they've been taught is what they go by. So if they say a person is exhibiting schizophrenic behaviors, we're going to give them the newest drug that they have for schizophrenic behavior. And a lot of these drugs are they promote these different drugs to the doctors and give them money to prescribe them to people and free samples and all that type of stuff. It's a business. You know, when our medical industry and our pharmaceutical industry becomes less like a business, then we'll really solve some of the issues that we have, you know. So, of course, the first thing a doctor would do for his sake, for his family's sake, to feed his kids, and I'm not saying all doctors, but I'm saying this happens often. To feed their kids, they're going to prescribe you some medication. That's how they eat. If you were a psychiatrist and you see 100 patients on a weekly basis and you're not prescribing any medication, they're going to investigate you, you know. And like I said, I'm not saying the doctors are all cruel or anything like that, but, you know, most doctors are going, you know, and a lot of times we limit ourselves to the how we get help, you know. We limit ourselves. We don't think about our spiritual being, you know, some meditation, some self-time. We don't think about, you know, maybe some aromatherapy and things of that nature. And another thing with the doctor Sheena touched on is the cultural competency. Now, I wouldn't want to sit across, it's me, Mr. Williams. I wouldn't want to sit across from some old white snob of a doctor who would look at me, look at my background, look how I walk, you know, look how I talk, and I wouldn't want him sitting across from me judging me. You know, he has nothing in common with me. He doesn't know. When I get to talking about the hood, he ain't going to know what the heck I'm talking about. When I get to talking about my struggle, he hasn't even seen or even thought about my, you know, so he's not going to be able to identify me with me in it. So, yeah, just being around him, just even thinking about going to sit in front of a white person and telling them my inner secrets makes me nervous right now, you know. So, I mean, we definitely need more of our people in these positions that have been there, you know, people like me, people like Sheena. So, you know, there's no way that they can, even with, they have this new thing that they're doing, is cultural competence training or something like that. They're requiring doctors to do it, which is needed, which I applaud them for at least making an effort. But, you know, we just simply need more people that come from where we come from to see about us.
That's why we need to promote that. To cut in just a second, that's why we need to promote. This is what we need to promote versus the sports for our kids to get out of the community. We need you to do this because it is only less than 2% of people. And like I said, this mental health field and where we come from, you know, all these people around you need it. They will need it in the future. They need it now. So those are the kind of things we need to be pushing our kids to versus just the football and the basketball to get out.
Okay. So look, back to answering your question. What can we do? What can you do to start helping people out? Is opening your ears to their problems and concerns. Getting to the root of the problem. Letting them know that it's okay. As far as medicine, if they don't feel comfortable taking the medicine, I think that's fine, and I think they need to. And like I say, it's hard to tell people what to do because you know, a lot of our people are financially strapped. So I can't just say, you know, go take a spa weekend and just chill and live life or take off of work. But you know, maybe some other ways of healing self can come into play. You know, like I said, with aromatherapy.
I hear you, and I'm right there with you. I'm on the same page you're on. And I don't want to toot my own horn, okay? But that is what I do. You know, I will grab one of my young sisters and I'll say, come on, let's go, you know, get something to eat or, you know, go to a movie or something. And I do that. And it feels good, you know. But I guess I just want people to hear what you're saying because there are so many of our people who will not even open up to people. It takes them a long time to get to that point. And I'm at the point where I don't want to lose anybody because I feel like everybody's health is important to me. So I start by doing just what you're saying. But I guess my question is, how can we, I don't mind calling somebody out if I feel like they're at a point where they need somebody to listen to them. I don't mind that. But I think my biggest concern is there are so many, like you said, you've got less than 2% of psychiatrists that are in the same ethnicity as we are. So, I don't really know what my question is, to be honest.
Well, I kind of see where you're going. Like I said, what can we do? Again, me and Sheena, we're considered Pan-Africanists, and we always go to an African perspective of things. And again, we always go back to the village. And what you're doing is exactly what needs to be done. Is, giving them an extra ear, somebody else to talk to, is showing love. Remember I say them 10-second hugs? These are the girls you need to give those 10-second hugs to. Transfer some of that energy from you to them. Definitely. And Africans respond to group therapy better than probably any other therapy. And this is my opinion. I haven't read the scientific evidence to back it. But group therapy for us works. So taking the time out has preventative measures, maintenance measures, and to help ease somebody's mental distress. Group therapy. Have people talk about it. Do exercises to get people talking about their situation. And you'll be surprised how many people are going to side relate to each other. Like, sister, I didn't know you went through that. I went through that too. I've been through that trauma with a boyfriend. I've been through that trauma with my mom. I've been through that trauma. I know what it feels like losing a kid, or I know what it feels like losing a mom or a dad, a sister or brother. Or I know what it, So for somebody to say, I know what it feels like, and to be able to relate to you, and multiple people in a group setting, that's breakthrough. We see it all the time. People say, I had a breakthrough. And most of the time those breakthroughs are in group settings with people that look like you. Your sister circles. She's big on people creating sister circles and support groups. AA works because it's a support group. And you have people to support you. You have people to cry to call on.
All that stuff.
Somebody's depression might be because they're financially strapped. But if you can give her the keys to better herself financially, then you may be able to cure her where her depression comes from. But she can identify it, and maybe you can, because you're not in her shoes. You're able to look at it from a whole nother perspective.
Yeah.
So, like I say, just the community educating themselves a little bit about mental health, because this is how to identify and when to talk, and just preventative maintenance. For our sisters and brothers, getting in a circle, getting these brother circles, these queen circles, these king circles going, and once or twice a week, actually, have the goal of improving our mental health. Our ancestors did it. Our ancestors group yoga. We invented yoga in Kemet, ancient Egypt. They got pyramids. Them doing yoga, group yoga, deep meditation, deep thought. And if you do it as a group, and like I said, that's so much energy being transferred in the air. It's crazy, like I say. So I think you continue to do what you're doing and promote the sisters to start talking to each other about different things. You don't got to get to the nitty gritty, but just to start relating to each other. How can we relate to each other different? Mm-hmm. And you'll start having breakthrough when just talking about it.
Yes, that's talking about it is like I said, that's an icebreaker in itself. I have a little example, a good sister of mine. When we first started working together, we just clicked automatically, to tell you the truth. We just did. And we started talking, and I told her all the issues, because when I was growing up, my mom was addicted to drugs and all that until about 95 or something like that. So I was telling her how much I had went through in relationships with my mom and her issues, how it put a damper on all that. I really never had a stable relationship because I was always taking care of her and this and that. And once she got better and I moved on, she wanted me to continue to take care of her, which I could not. You know, once me and my husband were together and you know, we had our kids and all that stuff, and I just told her, like I said, it was a mental issue I had and I didn't even know it. Like I said, I have been holding 20 years worth of anger in me, and I just blew up on her one day, and I had to apologize because that is my mother. And respect your elders out there. If you hear me again, respect the elders. But it did, you know, I just had an exposure, but I promise I felt so much better. It was like a weight was lifted off me because I watched her ruin 2 marriages because of the way she was, and I refused to let her ruin mine. And my friend, you know, it was like she had an aha moment when I said that because she had just had a divorce, and she said, you know what, my husband, ex-husband, told me that. He said, I let my mother not let him be a husband to me, and it ruined our marriage. And I was glad that I had talked about that with her to let her have her own breakthrough. And me and her talk all the time. Like I said, we're each other's spiritual advisors, so to speak. So, like I said, that open dialogue with somebody that you trust, you never know what somebody else is going through, has been through in the present or the past, and you may be that person that helps them realize, you know, that they did have that issue and they can, like I said, come out of it.
Definitely.
Okay. That's good.
Sometimes, and sometimes a simple environment change can improve someone's mental conditions or anxiety. You know, a lot of times we don't know our triggers. It might be, you know, we might live in an overcrowded house, you know, and we never get time. Like I say, a lot of our sisters and brothers just never have self-time. They never have time to say, I want to go learn the piano. I want to learn how to play the piano. You know, we don't have time to do it. Or even if we did have the time, we probably wouldn't think about it. Even if we did have the funds and stuff, you know, we probably wouldn't even think about going to take some piano lessons or just doing something selfishly for self, you know, because we got kids and people to take care of. But a simple environment change sometimes can help somebody improve drastically. We've done it, and a lot of our people, you know, kind of in our blood to be nomadic. You know, that's how civilization started in Africa, nomadic people, you know, moving from here to there. Definitely environment change or, you know, be around some people that you haven't been around before, being exposed to different things can definitely help. But talking, group therapy, I think, besides medication or to, you know, I've seen people turn into, I've been in situations where I was fortunate enough to see, and I say fortunate sarcastically, but fortunate enough to see people turn into zombies from taking some of the medications that the doctors prescribe to us. So, you know, and I could just imagine. I watched a guy start taking medication, and I believe he was just more so doing it just because. You know, of course, I don't know what he said, what the doctors and talked about, but I watched him go from a strong brother to somebody who was scooting his feet. He could barely lift up his feet in a matter of months. So I've seen, yeah, really. So some of these meds, if you take one time, it's going to, like, say, knock you out, make you drowsy, because it's mind-altering medication. You know, they're antipsychotics, and there's mental health conditions that we probably, you know, people hear voices, people, you know, see things that aren't there. So a lot of these meds are all grouped into the same category. So they might be giving you some medication for anxiety, but it's also given to patients for hearing voices. That alters your brain. So or even I'll be scared if a lot of these medications in a psychotherapy field are scary when you read the list of side effects and stuff like that. So, you know, even if the doctor did prescribe me some medication, I would kind of be scared to take it too. And like I said, the only thing I would be able to do is say, you know what, let me try to improve self. and let me try to improve self over here. Let me try to start eating better. Let me put better things into my body. Some of our great ancestors recommended detoxes, fast. Detox your body from some of the toxins that you've been putting in there. Fast. Meditate on the things. Life back into your body. Drink water. Our body's 70-some% water, and it might be hard if you're going through some depression or something like that. But just caring for self improve us, and having people. And I don't know, man. A lot of our depression comes from the lack of acceptance from in society of sorts. People like me, I'm overweight, and I gotta work on it. But I can be self-conscious about that and say, you know what? And if somebody when kids come up to me talking about fatty, I can go into a depression.
Right.
So I say to combat that, let the people around you know how much they're appreciated while they're here today. It's a sad story. It's about a Facebook. A while back, a girl in one of the Facebook groups I was in, she posted that she was homeless, so on and so forth. A couple of people helped her out with some funds to get somewhere to stay for the time being. And then she did another fundraiser saying, y'all, I'm just trying to get on my feet. I need a couple supplies. I think it was for art or something like that. She just was reaching out to the people who helped her before, for the people who she felt loved her and stuff like that. So she did another little GoFundMe thing, reaching out, man. And I probably could find it and send it to whoever wants to see and put something together. But she was reaching out, man. Didn't anybody put nothing on that GoFundMe account? Nobody. None of her family, none of her Facebook friends, nobody put anything on the account to help her out. Oh, and she had a baby that she was going through. She was going through some baby daddy drama and with the baby. So she, and people knew her story. If we knew her story on Facebook, I'm pretty sure the people around her knew her story, her mom, so on and so forth. The next time I heard about her or from her, it was a GoFundMe account because she killed herself. She killed herself. And she committed suicide. And sad to say, this GoFundMe had like $2,000. And I believe that if you do for people now, you ain't gonna have to have no help bury me GoFundMe account. I'm dead. Help me with my, So I mean, if we had that compassion for that same $2,000 that they raised to bury her could have been her to get her art supplies so she can start her apartment. That's a down payment on an apartment and maybe first month rent depending where you at. So I mean, that's sad. That's sad. So I say that to maybe make a couple points with this, but one of the main points is appreciate people while they're here. Do for people while they're here because you never know what they're going through, and you just never know. Do for people while they're here. I named my son after my little brother, and people may assume that my little brother's dead because I named my son after him, but no, he's alive. I want to represent for my little brother because I don't want to. I don't want to wait till something happens and try to name my son. I want you to get to know the person I named you after. I don't want to wait till you're dead or anything like that, and vice versa with me. If you want to send me some flowers, go on, send them now. Send them now. I hope they're edible if you do send them. But, if you want to do something good for me, do it while I'm here. And then, we can transition into talking about suicide. The good thing about, there's no good thing about this, but, I like that a lot of Africans we don't kill ourselves. That's not really something common. We got the lowest stats in our communities for male and female of our people committing suicide. So that's not really common. So when it happens, it really hurts my heart. That person really had to be hurting or really had to be going through it to actually follow through with a suicide. Now, that doesn't mean we don't have suicidal thoughts. Me growing up as a kid, I've had suicidal thoughts on multiple occasions. multiple, but I've never acted out trying to kill myself. You know, I may have had some reckless behavior because I didn't care about self, but I never tried to kill myself intentionally. Before the night's over, I'm definitely going to put the suicide hotline out there if you can look that up. For anybody who does feel or know anybody who's having those feelings of harming self, we can definitely put the suicide hotline, and you'll immediately have somebody to talk to about that. But hopefully, like I said, hopefully we just keep the conversation going on in our community. And loving your neighbor, loving your family, your friends, those around you, just spreading that love is probably one of the number one things that we can do, right along with educating yourself on how to identify, need some help, and maybe shooting them the resources to get the help. And I just want to put the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline out there real quick. And it's 1-800-273-8255. Like I said, that's for anybody who feels like they want to harm themselves or do something atrocious to themselves or others. You know, call that hotline and share it with somebody. And that's 1-800-273-8255. And that's the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. Definitely. Talking about mental health is talking about this stuff kind of puts a damper on my spirit because it's real. And like I said, I could see it all the time in our communities, not just the people we, in quotations, dub crazy, but I could see it in our community all the time. And it's like, where do we turn to? We don't have insurances. Even here, even locally in Mobile, I believe the only place that sees people with Medicaid is a Alta Point. And
right.
I mean,
good luck with getting an appointment in there.
Exactly. That was my next point. So, I mean, if I'm going through some stuff and I got Medicaid, and my only place is Alta Point, that's discouraging. And then when they do get you, I heard stories where all they do is just hold you for a couple of days and boot you out. They get their stats and get their money from it and just boot you on out. And they don't really help you or don't have the time to help you. And I think that's the only place that accepts it. And I think that's by design. I'm pretty sure other people would love to accept Medicaid and get some of those patients. But I mean that's ridiculous. And like I said, Mobile's 53% Black. And like I say, we make up like 16% of mental health cases in America, something like that, above everybody. So I mean, even right here in our own city, that's something. So again, we're big on preventative measures, so we can prevent somebody from going through some stuff. And like I say, sometimes you can't prevent. Sometimes you just can't prevent how you feel, or if you suffer from bipolar disorder, or if you suffer from attention deficit disorder, so on and so forth. Sometimes you can't prevent it. Sometimes medication is the best route. But I can't tell you when it's the best route. But sometimes it is, especially if you tried other things already. And then sometimes it's scary because, again, I want to get back to your sisters. Sometimes mental health issues are misdiagnosed. So we might be, when we go see, we might think our fatigue, or we might think our mood changes are from something that has to do with our mental health. And when we tell the doctor our symptoms, he automatically thinks, that's this disorder mixed with this disorder. I'm going to give you this pill. And truly, it might be your diet. It just might be.
That's true.
It might be some cholesterol problems. It might be some of the things that we talked about last week. Because, like I say, the overweight. Right. When you're overweight, I can get fatigued easily. You might mistake some of that fatigue and the way you feel about that just from your physical or. So it's a holistic approach that our people should be taking to all our health. I'm talking about like just a just a life change of the negative things that we have going on in our community. You know, with what we're eating, what we're putting in our body, that's so important. What we're putting in our body, the things that we're around. Like I said, you could be suffering from headaches and lack of energy, and lack of energy and lack of sexual desires, and you go tell the doctor that, and they're going to say, you know what, you're suffering from chronic this, chronic depression, and it might just be that the new job that you got, the chemicals of the new building has thrown you off. You know, that's what's causing your headache. That's what's causing you not to want to eat is they got some fumes that your body doesn't agree with at your workspace, so on and so forth. So, again, man, hopefully listening to this show, we'll be able to open people's eyes on looking at things from a holistic perspective. And once you start changing your life in this area, it should improve your life in other areas. You know, definitely if you start kicking negative people out of your life and you just don't deal with them, your life improves. You probably want to eat better. You know, you want to say, I'm going to get me some fruit. This negative person's out of my life, you know. And that could be a negative spouse, you know, a friend, you know. Once you start cleaning up your life, cleaning up your body, like I say, wonderful things happen. Definitely. So,
wow.
Got anything else you want us to touch on before we move on?
You want to add?
Or you want to add on?
Not right now. I mean, I'm just, again, so glad to be able to hear this wealth of information, because a platform is what we need. And, you know, I think it's just amazing that you and Sheena and I have never really met or had a conversation like this before. But when I immediately met her over the phone, it was just, I felt the love. I felt the positive energy. Mm-hmm. And for me, I want to surround myself around positive people. So I think right now, it would be a good time to just go ahead and let our listeners know that, you know, like Bo just said a few minutes ago, we have to learn to not be afraid to shed dead weight or negative energy. You know, I'm quick to say, look, I got enough stuff going on in my own world. You know, I know my limitations when I've done all I can, and I'm not afraid to walk away. But there are so many people that aren't strong enough to know that the negativity that's around them is helping cause them to stay down. So I wish we could just kind of touch on that just a little bit more, you know, about not being afraid to speak up for ourselves. It's amazing that we, for me, okay, I'll say this about myself. I'm one of the type, everybody who knows me knows, well, look, if I go and I ask Katrina, she's going to do it because she loves to do. But I had an opportunity to just feel like I wasn't making a positive impact on anybody. And when I got to that point in my life, I was like, okay, I've got to do something, because I felt like I was losing sight on what I was sent here to do. And so I learned to use the word no and not give it any kind of, well, no, but if you ask me another time, or no.
I'm not feeling guilty.
No. I just can't. Yes. I don't feel guilty. I don't feel like I need to keep telling you why I can't, but no. And do you know that was the hardest thing for me to do? I mean, I had to get to that point because I was at a point of no return. Like, I seriously was just doing, because that was my normal rhyming method. Just get up, get dressed, go, do what you got to do, come home, sleep when you can. I was irritable. I was not really giving my family the time they needed. I had to learn to shift and say no. How can we encourage our listeners to know their limitations or to find their limitations and be satisfied with saying no?
Saying no and owning
it. So I just want to say real fast, and I'm going to let Sheena get this one, but getting our community suffers from not getting rid of the obvious. You have to get rid of the obvious stuff, the stuff that we know, the people that we know are hazardous or toxic to our life or to our situation. We know the ones, so a lot of times it's an obvious person or obvious thing, or we know that person who uses us. Sometimes we got to tell them, look, I ain't doing nothing for you. No, I think start with the obvious people and the obvious things in your life to start making a change. But I'm gonna let you.
Yeah, to touch on, to piggyback on what Bo just said, getting rid of that, yes, the obvious dead weight, especially of course, we always go back into getting that negativity away from you. And also,
right.
From my experiences, some people are just, okay, we have those people out there who are just pessimistic, no matter what. As my dad would say, they'll get a home run and complain about the pitch. So they're just going to complain about whatever.
Right.
That's just the truth. But that's where we come in. The people that we are, because like I said, I've personally done it, have rubbed off my positive energy just by putting it on them every single day. And in return, like I said, they have no choice but to address me the way I address them. Vice versa. If I address you in a negative way every day, then you're going to give me that same energy back. So, like I said, it kind of self, because we all, it's a circle of life. We all need to be helping each other. We need to be speaking out, and the other people on the other side need to be accountable and listening and being, what's the word? It's on the tip of my tongue. But we need to be more thoughtful of what other people have going on in their lives. Like, nothing makes me more angry than seeing somebody, ask somebody for change who got, 3 kids behind them. And it's like, dude, really? Are you asking this person for change and you see they got 3 mouths to feed? Like, come on, be thoughtful. People can't always tell you yes, 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 yes. And they've never got a yes back from you. It's just,
wow.
It doesn't work. We have to grease palms. We got to scratch each other's back. That's just the way it works. But when you're constantly giving and not receiving, when it's like you said, depleted your whole being, you and your family are the most important things. And when you don't have time for them because you're constantly doing for others who are not giving back, then that's a problem. That's a definite problem. Like I said, that goes into the depression, all that kind of stuff. It's a big headache that we don't even need to deal with. And like I said, just that obvious dead weight, that negativity, you have to get it away from you. I had to do it with my Facebook. I didn't even know about all these different groups and stuff because I'm not really up on that kind of stuff. But my husband introduced me to these different Black free thinkers groups, Black artist groups, and things like that. And I eliminated more than half of my friends because I got tired of seeing this love and hip hop fight. This is who man did this to who and all that. I just got tired of the negativity every time I was going down my timeline. It was making me crazy, and it was just too much for me. So I had to get rid of all that. It made such a big difference. I made so many more positive relationships, especially with women, with my fellow sisters out there. So it's been a whole different experience, just me cleaning house in that aspect and making, like I said, these new connections where I'm always, no matter what kind of relationship I'm in, I'm always thinking about building. If we can't build together, then there's really no sense in us, doing anything together, really, if we're not building and helping each other.
Right.
Wow.
And, we definitely got to clean up our lives. And I didn't even think about socially. We on Facebook. We get on our social sites and we scroll down the timeline, and all we see is negativity. Guess what? Most likely it's gonna have an impact on you. During the day, sometime all this negativity you've seen 14 fights. You've seen people. You've seen all type of crazy stuff here. People complain about this and complain about that, and all of a sudden you find yourself complaining.
And to cut in real quick, that what you just said about seeing all the fighting and the arguing and the cussing and it desensitizes us to what we're talking about right now, how to recognize depression and anxiety and social anxiety and all these things, because we're living in the matrix. you're living in a matrix world where you don't even know what reality is anymore. So we all kind of going through it at really on a small scale. Like we all kind of really going through this at the same time.
And we were talking about how it's being exposed to violence increases our chances of suffering from a mental disorder. And like Sheena just said, if we desensitize ourselves to all these different type of violences, we're more likely to expose our kids to violence, if that makes sense.
Right.
If anybody steps up with me on that. So we're more likely to yell as a people. You know, parents are more likely to have a fight right in front of their kids, right there in front of their kids, because we see fights on Facebook all the time. Oh, it ain't that bad, man. It ain't gonna affect my kid. He all right. You know, I just watched. You know, I didn't watch, but you know, I peeked outside and they was having a community scat out there, and as everybody's arguing, you know, two ladies arguing with each other real loud. It probably looked worse than what it was. But they're arguing with each other, and the kids are just out there standing around. And like I say, if our kids are more likely to be exposed to the violence, right here, I just seen it today. And we don't think about that, the especially for our kids, because our kids can't choose who they put around them. So with our kids, it has to be strictly preventative measures of trying to surround them with love, surround them with things that are going to be encouraging to them instead of detrimental to them. And one of the most positive, best things we can do for our kids is show them images of greatness, the people who look like them. Definitely. And I just...
That's why the Cosby Show is excellent, because of all the good morals that they had on that show. And not only, you know, even the guests they had over, the friends they had over were prestigious friends, and they had, you know, these careers, and they always taught you something, even the food that they were eating on the Cosby Show. When the friends came over, they ate the fruits and the vegetables and all that stuff. And
right.
he even had those episodes when he did have the hoagie, he was having nightmares and stuff because he was eating the wrong thing. So, like I said, all those good messages of the family and supporting each other. And when you go through things, like I said, you're not alone. We all going through the same things at one point or another, especially with depression. Every person suffers with that at least one time in their life or another. Nobody's immune to that. So like I said, these open discussions, and I would like to honestly see more mental health events in the community to bring awareness to it. That would be awesome.
Definitely.
I couldn't agree with you more. I couldn't agree with you more.
So like I said, we have to make this a priority to talk about in our community. And I want to talk about where we currently go get our help from in the communities when we figure we're suffering from mental health issues. A lot of people, well, when Sheena came out, we talked about something earlier, but most people go to our women and our women elders first, our moms, our grandmothers. We're least likely as youth to go to our dads and say, "Dad, I'm suffering from I think depression, or I'm feeling this way, or I'm feeling that way." A lot of times we go to our mothers, and a lot of time our mothers go to our community leaders, and usually that's the pastor. And a lot of times pastors aren't equipped with the knowledge on what to do or the advice to give one of their followers about mental health conditions. Like Sheena was talking about earlier, one of the most detrimental things that you can probably do to somebody who's suffering from a depression or some anxiety is to say, go pray about it. Because that means you're not going to put any action behind it. And when we feel, if somebody says go pray about it, and we go pray fervently about it, feel the same way, we start to lose faith. And that could cause a whole nother set of mental disorder. So, and like I say, just want to speak on this for a second. Is I think our pastors may have a bigger responsibility than some of them are putting out to be. And I know in the Bible say our teachers will be judged more harsh. You know, the pastors, our leaders would be judged more harsh, definitely, because they have a duty. They have a duty beyond teaching people what the Bible says. They have a duty to keep people healthy, keep people alive, keep spirits up. Not just on let's go study these words of the Bible. I want you guys to memorize this, memorize that. You know, our pastors have they have the obligation to build the people, to build unity amongst the people, to better their people, especially their congregations. And one of the things with mental health is they need some type of training to be able to deal with the mental health of their people, because our people suffer hard from mental health, you know. And when we figure God's not doing it, that could cause, like I said, that could cause a whole other set of problems that can cause a person to spiral down into the depths of darkness, you know, so to speak. So our pastors, our community leaders, the people that people trust, man, they need to get trained. They need to know when it's time to tell somebody to get some help versus just trying to deal with it themselves. You know, sometimes they are going to be able to say, you know what, let's go meditate on it. Let's go pray on it. Let's go talk about it. Sometimes that will help, but that won't help all the time. You know, sometimes there's a time when they say, look, you might need some professional help, or you might need some help beyond me. And that might not be a psychiatrist, or it might just be a counselor. It might be somebody who had a little bit of training to deal with a crisis of such. You know, so knowing when, or to have mental counselors on a board, so to speak, at the church. You know, and let the church know, man, if you guys are ever going through any mental health anything, this is the lady to call. Sister Johnson in the back there. She's a certified therapist, or she's a certified counselor, and she can help you if you're grieving. I know churches do grieving counseling. Do they still do that? So I know they do like grief counseling. Yeah. So we need grief counseling. We need anti-disorder counseling. We need depression counseling. Yeah. And we haven't even touched post-traumatic stress disorder counseling. Definitely So definitely our leaders out there, you have the obligation to go out there and educate yourself a little bit about some of these health issues. Mm-hmm. And I do want to put my a couple of websites. One of the websites I've used to go get a lot of my information. It's called NAMI, and that's the National Alliance on Mental Health Illness. And the website is www.nami.org. So .org, nami.org. Just reading through there, read through some of the cited doctor studies about mental health, and they have some specific stuff about African American communities and even different Hispanic communities and stuff like that. So NAMI would be a start. And NAMI would allow you to also create groups, create support groups, and they help you with that. They help you they'll help you put events on in the community. They'll help support some of the stuff that we're doing. So definitely, leaders, check out NAMI.org. And to see some of the disparities also, I always, one of my favorite things to do especially before we come on the shows, like I say, to get stats and stuff, the CDC clearly shows us what we're dying from, the mental health issues that we suffer from. They break it down. They keep so many stats on us, it's crazy. So definitely check out the CDC when looking for stats. So I guess to transition into talking about post-traumatic stress disorder. Or
one last thing with the depression, I forgot. Don't forget depression and the perms. No.
Yeah, definitely. It can cause depression.
Depression medication and the perms. Yes. Don't do it.
Don't mix it. So.
Oh wow. Again, okay. I remember us talking about that.
Yeah.
Yep. Depression medication is one of them.
And man, And again, if you are seeing the doctor, hold your doctor accountable. Make your doctor tell you what the side effects are. And if he don't sound like he know anything about this medication, ask him how long he's been prescribing this medication. Don't be afraid. Again, brothers and sisters out there, the day is over of the scared black person. I don't care who you are. Be bold and brazen. You ain't got to be crazy and loud, but be bold and, don't be scared to ask questions. Be confident. Don't be scared of nobody. Don't let nobody intimidate you.
And your life literally depends on it.
Yes. It's so funny that we intimidate everybody just by being black. Especially as men, we intimidate a lot of cultures see our women coming and they intimidate her like, oh, here come a black woman, y'all. So with that being said, why are we so intimidated by everybody else? Man, we like I was just admitting it right now. I get in front. I wouldn't feel comfortable in front of telling a white person my story or trying to get telling what's going on as far as getting some help. So brothers and sisters, don't be intimidated. We all people on this earth. We all here. We in the here and now. And like they said, we only live once. So don't walk around being intimidated by somebody's status or somebody just because they're a doctor, just because they're a nurse, or just because they wear a lab coat, or just because their skin is a different color. Those are not reasons to be intimidated by. We should never be intimidated or scared to ask a question or scared to speak our mind.
Speaking of that, there is a thing called, he was talking about the white coat and everything. There is a thing called white coat fever because it's something that I get every time I go to the doctor, and I'm not scared of needles, but my hands get clammy and all that stuff. But my grandmother being a nurse, she told me that. She's like, we have a lot of patients who come in with that. But I've gotten over it recently, but it was every time I went to the doctor and get my blood taken or something, my hands would get so clammy. And it was, like I said, it wasn't because of the needles, but I was like, what is it? But, yeah, it's called white coat fever, and it is real. So these are all the little things that we need to be knowing about.
So I want to talk about post-traumatic stress disorder. And most of the time when we hear that term, what do we think about? We think,
military.
We think about the troops.
Military people. That's it.
Yeah, we think about the Army and people coming home and seeing such horrible things overseas and doing such atrocities that you have post-traumatic stress disorder. Now, my wife was telling me that she read a study to where young black males, young inner city kids have a higher rate of post-traumatic stress disorder than the veterans coming back from war.
They experience it at twice the rate as a returning veteran.
Twice the rate. And like I said, when it hits us, it's worse. So you telling me these kids that's 18 years old that we setting free out here into this world could possibly be suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder worse than a veteran who has been to Vietnam or has been to Iraq, Afghanistan, so on and so forth. That's a problem. That's an issue we need to be talking about. And the next issue we're going to talk about today is the pipeline. They're sending those young men who do have post-traumatic stress disorder, somehow, some way they end up in prison. So
never had 1 day of treatment.
Never had a day of treatment. And then when they go to prison, all of a sudden, we're going to give you these meds. We're going to give you this shot. I said, man, so, and I said, why can't we get this help on the street? And then when people go to prison, I'm going to leave the prison for the next. But post-traumatic stress disorder with our youth. And like I say, post-traumatic stress disorder can come from a kid watching his parents fight in the home, a kid being bullied at school and no one ever saying anything about it or even caring about it. And bullying doesn't have to be physical. It could be somebody calling you nerd every day. Somebody, sexual assault, can cause somebody to have post-traumatic stress. Definitely sexual assault, can cause you to not trust anybody, not want to do. And like I say, that's post-traumatic stress. You had a traumatic stress that's having an effect on your life now from your past. So many different factors that our kids and our youth are kicked out into the streets to fend for themselves. You know, so many factors factor in when you're talking about post-traumatic stress disorder. Mm-hmm. And like I say, again, the number one way to combat post-traumatic stress disorder is to protect our youth, so they don't have post-traumatic stress disorder coming out of their youth. You know, let's give them the tools to, you know, let's surround them with the right village. Let's let them grow up happily, you know, without having those stresses that can possibly cause post-traumatic stress disorder. You know, I'm from the hood. I've seen people get shot. I've been shot at as a kid and as an adult. I've had the police pull us over and pull people out the car and pull guns on us. Kids, I've seen the police pull guns on kids that was younger than me at the time. So I mean, you think that kid's not going to have a issue growing up when he had a gun pulled on him by a police, by a peer, by some people he ain't known, you know? So it's like, man, our kids, it's like almost, as we're talking about, it's like, you know, what hope do we have? You know, like I say, and then, like I say, with the insurances and stuff like that, and how poverty works, you know, what choices do we have? Where can we go? Who do we turn to? And obviously, when we turn to them, they're going to capitalize off of our misery and give us medications that can possibly do more harm than good.
Or they use our stats in the negative light. They come and take our stats, and then, like I said, they use it to perpetuate the bad in our community instead of helping us.
No,
right.
So their solution is jail or medication. Mm-hmm. You know, jail or medication.
And our young black boys in school get suspended at a higher rate than anyone, and that's stats that I've read all over for months now. And it's our young black boys getting put out just for, like I said, they call it behavior issues, but they're just being put out or put, like you said, put on medication. And then once they get on medication, they can't concentrate in school because they're zoned out from the antipsychotic, and in turn their grades are going down, and it's like it's just a downward spiral. The playground to prison pipeline is real, and they're putting it into full effect.
And just to talk about the jails real fast, is got some stats in front of me, but crazy. In a mental health crisis, people are likely to encounter, or people are more likely. So when people are having a mental health crisis, anxiety attack, a mental breakdown, you know, they're fed up and they just want to scream, they're more likely to come in contact with the police, and as a result, booked into jail. You know, police don't have the proper training to identify when somebody's going through a mental health crisis unless they're screaming, I'm going to kill myself, and then they know that person could possibly going through a mental health crisis, you know, suicidal or wants to commit harm to others. So police don't even have the proper training when dealing with people, which they do need training. The only time, and, you know, I don't want to get political or anything, or, you know, but the only time these people talk about mental health issues is when somebody then shot up a crowd, shot up a school, and in particularly when white people do something do something atrocious, such as what happened in Las Vegas. Now they want to talk about mental health. You know? No, we need to be talking about mental health when we're seeing half our youth locked up in jail. You know, talk about mental health when all our youth are out here or in the streets taking medication, and, you know, talk about mental health when our culture glorifies murder, glorifies death. Who cares about a mass shooting when I turn on the TV and I see a mass shooting every time I flip through the channels? Man, I was Walker, Texas Ranger, cops, this show, that show, right here. I don't got cable, and I can see a mass murder any day flipping through these channels on TV. You know, it may not be real, but when my kids watching it, they're still exposed to a certain type of violence. In my mind, I'm still being exposed to that violence. So, you know, we need to be talking about, we need to make these, make our politicians, we need to make our senators, make our councilmen, we need to make them talk about mental health, or the the state of mental health in their communities, not when somebody shoots it up, but all the time. You know, or when they don't even talk about mental health when they're getting elected. They only talk about mental health when something atrocious happens, or when in specific when a white person commits a crime. Then they talk about mental health. You know, with the Charleston shooter. Oh, it was a mental health condition. The young dude that went and shot at the school, he obviously had mental health problems. No, I don't like them talking about mental health only when they got to do with guns. You know, let's talk about it all the time, and let's do something about it. You know, let's make mental health treatment. Let's make treatment for mental health then more affordable. You know, when we do need the medications, let's make it more affordable. Let's make seeing a doctor affordable for our people, and let's have a campaign to promote our people to get into those fields. Like I say, we promote the heck out of our young men to play some football. We promote the heck out of our young men to play some basketball. You know, we promote our sisters to be nurses. You know, we need to promote our sisters and our brothers to be doctors of sorts. We need to promote our brothers and sisters that want to be great architects, something that can make a difference for our people in specifically. And like I said, I don't want to sound like I'm being selfish, but yes, I'm selfish when it comes to my people. You know, we need our people to solve some of our issues that we suffer from in our community, point blank. And like I say, it starts today. You know, it starts with promoting our youth to, you know, like I said, we see it's a problem. So, you know, I would love, I can't wait to talk to my little girl about career choices, because this would be something I would bring up because it's beneficial for the people. Mm-hmm. So, again, man, they throwing all our brothers and sisters in jail with these mental health conditions because that's the only way they figure we can curb the problem or solve the problem.
And they're not criminals. A lot of them are addicts. Mm-hmm. Because of the medicine they are pumping to them that they are taking. And then when they go to jail, of course, you got the withdrawal. So now you're dealing with all kind of different issues. And once you get in trouble in there, it's just a downward spiral from there. Right. And it goes on your record and all this other stuff. So, I said, it's just
and one of the fortunate things about when people go to prison or whatever is that the state is responsible for your well-being. So if you do want to see somebody for a mental health condition, they'll arrange that. By law, they have to. But the unfortunate thing is that, you know, these are prison doctors who don't mind prescribing pills to the inmates, you know. And unfortunately, the inmates sometimes don't mind taking those pills because they get them through their time. Yeah. And then imagine a person who takes pills, who takes an antidepressant for 5 years, takes an antipsychotic of sorts for 5 years to curb the voices that he hears in his head because of prison. Imagine when he gets out and he doesn't have insurance, he doesn't have access to those same medications. You know, his condition probably is going to worsen, or he is going to
commit a crime and want to go back.
He is going to commit a crime to try to get some pills or get some attention, or say, you know what, subconsciously say, you know what, I need to go back because I don't have no insurance. How can I survive without my medication? Yeah. You know, especially for the people who do hear voices, or the people who do see things, or the people who do, you know, I'm taking this medication, I'm getting help. Unfortunately, it has to be in prison because that's the only way I could possibly go see a doctor. You know, and so when they get out, it causes them to fall back into a spiral of a mental health breakdown or a mental breakdown, you know, because they don't have. So I don't know, man. Our community, like I said, this is something that we need think tanks all across the nation to try to solve this one issue about mental health in our community. It's not one thing that we can do to just try to improve the health, man. It's going to take a lot of things from so many different angles to improve the mental health conditions and to get people, get the stigma off. That's still one of the biggest things is just getting the stigma off of saying, you know, I suffer from a mental condition. You know, I'm not crazy, but I do get depressed sometimes, or, you know what I'm saying, I'm not suicidal, but occasionally I do have a lack of interest in things, and that, you know, or I am, you know, I am not crazy, but I may be bipolar. You know, I may have mood swings. just getting people to talk.
Or vice versa, we have to quit making a joke about it too, so people can, believe in what you're saying. So, like I said, as African Americans, we do like, I'm crazy. I can, get away with it and da-da-da-da. Like, let's not make it a joke out of it. It's time to be serious. We all, like I said, we're all suffering from the taboo of not talking about it in our communities, because I don't think there's one person I've talked to that says, this was an open discussion in my household when I was growing up, and it still hasn't been talked about, and they're over 30 years old. So it is an issue that does need to be discussed and brought to the forefront, but it starts with us. Like I said, as a community, it just has to. It has to start from the inside and then work its way out.
So before we wrap it up, we want to give all our listeners and all our friends out there some tools to be able to identify or see the warning signs of mental illness. So me and Sheena, we're going to go down the list and, give you some of the signs and symptoms. So if several of the following are occurring, it may be useful to follow up with a mental health professional. So if you have more than one of these continually occurring or continuing to pop up, it may be time to seek professional help, or at least consult somebody beyond your own means. So withdrawal, recent social withdrawals and loss of interest in others. So when you see people or you yourself start wanting to withdraw for no reason, just that lack of energy, socially, that may be a sign. And like I said, these are not just singly, but when you have multiple of these things, it may be time for you to go get some help. So the first one was, like I say, withdrawal from your social circles, withdrawal from the activities that you would normally do every day.
Okay, the next one is going to be drop in functioning. An unusual drop in functioning would be your day-to-day activities at school, work, or at social activities such as quitting sports, failing in school, or difficulty performing familiar tasks. So just like I said, your day-to-day tasks that you do are becoming difficult, are becoming a chore to you, and it's just, like I said, overwhelming for you. That's another sign or symptom of it.
The next thing is a problems thinking. So problems with concentration, memory, or logical thought and speech that are hard to explain. So we're not talking about confusion. We're talking about somebody who's having a problem putting thoughts together, somebody who has racing thoughts across their head and can't stop them, somebody who can't, doesn't know what's going on, who can't write a sentence right now because they got so much going on. That might be signs of anxiety. So, like I say, problem thinking, that can be one of the signs and symptoms.
The next one is going to be increased sensitivity. Heightened sensitivity to sight, sound, smells, and touch. Avoidance of overstimulating situations. And that sounds like me on my, okay, never mind. But that sounds like the time of the month right there. But yes, so you're just irritated by every, like they said, sound, touch, everything is just, it's just irritated to you. So like you said, it's just a heightened sensitivity level to every single thing, all five senses really. So that's a major key. When you start realizing that, you know that you probably need to, like you said, not seek a doctor necessarily, but like you said, seek somebody beyond your own means and somebody that you trust.
Okay, and the next one is apathy, and that's the loss of initiative or desire to participate in any activity. And like I say, for us adults, one of the signs with that is, like I say, loss of sexual desire. If you're in a relationship and, you and your wife have or you and your husband, you and your significant other have a steady sexual relationship, and all of a sudden you just feel like it no more, or you're withdrawing from your the normal relationship that you have with your significant other and others around you. That's a sign, that can be a sign when compared with some of the other things. So the loss of desire to do the things that you normally do can definitely be a sign.
Okay, the next one is illogical thinking. unusual or exaggerated beliefs about personal powers to understand meanings or influence events. Illogical or magical thinking typical of childhood in an adult. Okay, so I'm going to call this the Peter Pan syndrome, where you're pretty much just, not wanting to deal with adult issues and reverting back to adolescence, so to speak.
Also, this covers the people who, it's serious, man. People may laugh or whatever, but there's people out there who really hear voices. There's people out there who really see things that aren't there, and it's, who have voices in their head. We see it all the time, people talking to themselves or people that we dub crazy, and that's a mental issue. So if we have somebody, and I think your mother was going through that too when she was talking about I'm outside or I'm waiting for you on a corner. When people start talking irrational and they're delusional, kind of, like I said, that can be a sign of some mental health issues, and they might need some help. And a lot of times, I've seen it with my mother when she was on her deathbed, so to speak, and she was saying stuff that didn't make sense, and and we was like, Mom, it hurt us bad to hear her saying stuff that just didn't make sense. So definitely that's one of the signs with our we need to be looking out for. Another one is feeling disconnected. A vague feeling of being disconnected from oneself or one's surroundings, in a sense of unreality. So, like again, when you start seeing people become disconnected from things that they usually do, you have a friend at work that you used to hang out at the coffee pot with every day, and all of a sudden, for no reason at all, she doesn't speak to you anymore. She's feeling more reserved, or she doesn't even look your way or anybody else's way. If Sheena, she's real smiley and happy. So if she wasn't smiley and happy one day when we went out, she'd be like, baby, what's wrong? You ain't smiled all day. You ain't, that can be a sign, especially when it's ongoing. For the last week or two, you've seen your sister or your daughter not have the energy she used to have. Maybe it's time to open up a conversation.
Okay, the next one is nervousness. Fear or suspicion of others, or a strong nervous feeling. So I think I spoke on this earlier, where you just, you walk into a room and it's, I guess it'll be a form of anxiety. Mm-hmm. You just feel like everybody's watching you, everybody's judging you quietly, but you just think they're in your head, and they can pretty much just see all the imperfections that you have going on. But like I said, that's also a form of paranoia. So like I said, that would definitely be, a sign to go ahead and seek some type of help or attention. And again, in our community, paranoia is one of the things that I don't think it's in the top things in our community, but I think it is. I just think it's not talked about. I think it's not. They haven't done any studies on it. But just ask any black person when the police get behind you, even if they don't have nothing, even if you're fully insured, got your license, got everything that you need, when the police get behind you, we get a sense of nervousness. I'm talking about people that's fully insured and everything. Can sometimes get a sense of nervousness. So imagine somebody who's been shot at by the police, or a gun has been drawn on him by the police, or he's been beat by a police. Imagine when the police gets behind him. That nervousness, that schizophrenia goes up, that paranoia goes up just a notch, because or they've had contact with the police in a negative light versus a person who. So that's in our communities, that's prevalent with the nervousness and being nervous around certain people or certain things, because there's like I say, it's always a underlying issue on why. So another thing to look out for is unusual behavior, odd, uncharacteristic, peculiar behavior. So if I say, if you see one of your sisters or brothers out there and they're just not who they seem to be, or you get that feeling something wrong, it's okay to talk to them. Open up the conversation. Probe. Don't be nosy, but, probe a little bit. What's going on, brother? I seen you ain't made none of those jokes lately, or I seen you ain't,
did this lately, you know, and it might just be something that he or she needs to talk about, you know, maybe something going on with the family or whatever. But definitely when you see people exhibiting unusual behavior, especially if you know them, you know, maybe it's time to see what's going on and open up a conversation.
The next thing to look out for will be sleep or appetite changes. Dramatic sleep or appetite changes or decline in personal care. Of course, you know, the physical appearance of someone, if that drastically changes in a negative way, of course that'll be a major sign. Sleeping all day, pretty much feeling like you have no reason to get up, is a big reason why people do that, or really not sleeping at all, because it can be, that's also the reverse, but it does happen where people are going days without sleeping, and they end up needing medication for that. So that's a big one to look out for.
Yeah, definitely sleep and appetite. And when somebody, you know, when a lot of times with mental health conditions, your condition doesn't allow you to sleep, and you're up and you're worried about whatever you're worried about, and you just can't sleep. And even if you take meds and stuff like that, I know a lot of people who suffer from mental illness, they have to have sleep medication. You know, they give them Benadryl or something like that to help them sleep. And then, like I say, on the flip side of that is a person who sleeps, you know, wants to sleep all day in bed. I don't feel like getting up. You know, these could be signs of depression. You know, and just telling somebody to buck up is not going to do it. Mm-hmm. And also appetite loss. You know, when you get depressed, I don't know if you ever been depressed, you don't want to eat. You don't want to put nothing. You don't want to do nothing. You don't want to see nothing. You don't want to hear nothing. You're just depressed. You can try to eat, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, a lot of times, when somebody's going through some depression, they're not going to eat a nothing all day, 2-3 days, and not even worry about putting nothing to this. They're depressed. And, you know, either want to sleep or they sleep so long now they can't sleep, and they're depressed about that. So definitely be on the lookout, especially with your close family members and kids and elders. You know, and depression has no age limit. You know, and although I've never seen a depressed toddler or anything like that, unless you tell them no. But you know, be on the lookout for that. And one of the last things is mood change. Mood changes are rapid or drastic shifts in feelings, and you know, so you see your sister or brother having mood swings, and like you said, Felicia, you're able to identify. You know the people who already suffer from bipolarism. Mm-hmm. You're able to say, you know what, have you took your medication, and so on and so forth. But sometimes they may not even know that they suffer from a condition, and like I say, to start identifying and let somebody know will definitely help them. So be on the lookout for mood changes. So I'm going to go down the list one more time. So withdrawal, drop in functioning, problem thinking, feeling disconnected, illogical thinking, nervousness, unusual behavior, sleep or appetite changes, and mood changes. 1 to 2 of these symptoms alone can't predict the mental illness. But if a person is experiencing several of them at once, and the symptoms are causing a serious problem in their ability to study or work or relate to others, he or she should be seen by a mental health professional. People with suicidal thoughts or intent or thoughts of harming others need immediate attention.
You all okay?
Yeah, we had to go and see what's going on. Wow. Okay, we're here. We're good.
Okay. Oh, I heard that noise.
I wonder, he went to the back door. But those things right there, if you have 3, I say 2 or more, but definitely 3 or more, you should be seeking some type of professional help, or like I said, if you're not ready to go there quite yet, then seek somebody you trust. But any suicidal thoughts or anything like that, immediate attention is needed, like right away.
That's really good. It's really good. Good information to continue to put on the platform. for everyone. We encourage you all to take part in Breaking Chains with Healthy Mondays with Queen Sheena and Bo Williams, and just stay connected. That's what we want everyone to do, is stay connected. And to remember that it's nothing too hard to discuss. You just have to get into a place where you find someone that you can trust and network. But I'm sure if there's any other questions.
Oh, my goodness. We got to get off the phone. It's an emergency.
Okay. Well, you all take
little
care.
baby just got hit. Oh. All right.
Bye-bye. So you're listening to Breaking Chains with Healthy Mondays with Bo and Sheena Williams. I'm Elder Katrina Kennedy. We say God bless you and keep you as our prayer. And let's go into prayer now for the trauma that was just heard over the radio line in Bo and Sheena's neighborhood. Oh, Heavenly Father, we don't know the situation, but we know that you know. So we extend our hands to you, oh God, and we surrender it to you. And we ask you, oh Heavenly Father, to protect those who have been hit and to camp your angels around the driver as well as the person who was just hit. We ask you, oh God, to just continue to endow us with your Holy Spirit and to invoke your presence in not only this place, but we know that you are all power, all-knowing God, and we say thank you. We thank you, oh God, for being God all by yourself. Oh, Heavenly Father, we pray that right now as we lift the names up of the people who have gone through this trauma, that you encourage the driver, you encourage the driver to know that running is not the answer, oh God, but that they need to stand and be accountable for whatever it is that they're going through. But, oh, Heavenly Father, I just ask you right now in the name of Jesus to grant peace, to grant silence, and to absolutely grant love, because we know that God is love. We pray, oh God, that as we remove ourselves from this phone line and this podcast, that we are never dismissed from your presence. And I pray that the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart is acceptable in thy sight, O Lord. You're our strength and our Redeemer. God bless you and keep you as our prayer.
You've been listening to Breaking Chains with Healthy Mondays on YAT Radio. Tune in next week, same time.
Go to our website,
blogtalkradio.com/YAT Radio, or call in 858-357-9137. It's Breaking Chains, YAT Radio, where we leave a mark that can't be erased by breaking the chains of silence.